welcome to Yachting International Radio. You're with Karine, Rayson from the Crew Coach on the Wellbeing Project. Today I have with us Sally Friend. So Sally Friend has been in our community for a very long time. She's part of the TCC tribe. You might have seen her for the Bright Member Award that we have in our membership. And today we're doing something quite unique in that we're talking about attending counselling to support a friend. So a few months ago, I ran a counselling session with Sally and her friend. We thought it could be very beneficial, and I've never done something quite like it before. So before we get into it, I just want to welcome you, Sally. Thank you for featuring again.
Pleasure.
Okay, so let's just paint a bit of a picture with regards to this. So when someone is struggling with a mental health issue, let's use depression and anxiety, because we all know about depression and anxiety. Normally what happens is I see my clients one-on-one for counseling. In this particular instance, we thought it would be beneficial to bring you as a close friend of the person who is having counseling sessions into the session so that you both could understand where each other is at and how you can support your friend better. So when you got that invite to join the counseling session, how did you initially respond to that?
Yeah, I felt very privileged to want to be asked to be a part of the counseling session, because I know those sessions can be very private and obviously very personal. So to be asked to be involved in something like that, there's a bit of privilege that comes with it. And I think it was brilliant. Friendship is as important as a spousal relationship, to me anyway. And so I think it just helped understand one another better. And being given that opportunity to for my friend to express her worries and concerns, and also for me to open up about how I was feeling.
Yeah. So let's just talk a bit more about that, having a third party involved, because as friends, you would be talking about your feelings quite often. So having someone else there to aid in the communication, what difference did that make?
Well, I think when you obviously are communicating with a friend and having a heart-to-heart, there's always an element where you want to be really supportive towards your friend and you want to listen to their problems and have a solution to give them. Because often, if a friend comes to me with a concern, I often feel not obligated, but I would like to try and help that friend find the solution and resolve their issues. And sometimes that's just not the case. Sometimes you can't fix problems. And obviously with not having any psychological experience as a counselor or anything like that, it's very hard to know whether you're giving the right advice. And I think having you in the room with us helped me know whether I was offering the correct advice or I also think sometimes friends can be enablers, and it's hard to know whether you are just encouraging that person to carry on down a terrible path, or whether you're actually helping them find a solution. And having you in the room navigate that was very helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes with our friends, we can tell them what we think may help, and we're trying to stay positive for them, but then that's not maybe what they need as a strategy. And I think what's so hard as a friend is to see your friends suffer, and all you want to do is bring them out of it, and to actually sit there in the pain with them can be so uncomfortable. I know when I first started counseling and just seeing someone in tears or just very distressed, I wanted to help them move past that by giving them an immediate strategy. So I think having the tools to feel comfortable in being honest in that situation would be very, very helpful. So what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, definitely that sometimes your friends don't need the solution. They just need you to listen and be there for them when they're going through something traumatic, or when they are trying to express their concerns. They don't really want you to answer all their questions. They just want you to be there in a safe space with them, and knowing that this area that they are chatting in is a safe space.
It's okay. It's life. We have distractions. I think he's left. I think he's left.
Yeah, he's left. I'm like, literally, can you not?
I could see you mouthing. I'm like, how are you doing that in silence? That's pretty impressive. So for our listeners, you can't see this video. Sally had her partner busy doing something in the background that was obviously distracting. And she was telling him to keep quiet.
Anyway, so back to the question. Yeah, I think sometimes like being in that space made me realize that sometimes they just need you to listen. And sometimes it's even to just sit in silence and have that safe surroundings, that where they can be the most vulnerable and not be judged or criticized or under the microscope.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's probably the most difficult part as a friend, because you feel like you're not really achieving anything. And
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is quite frustrating. But at the end of the day, if that's all that they want from you or need from you, that's all that you should be offering them.
And I think you highlighted a very important point at the beginning of this interview, and that is, as a friend, you have needs too. So normally what we tend to do is put our own needs aside to be there for our friend. But sometimes when the person is in pain or suffering, they can't perhaps empathize with what our friend is going through, in the notion of you being a support person to this individual. So were you able to articulate your needs in that session, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it helped my friend understand my point of view with certain scenarios and situations, because obviously mental health is such a delicate matter, and it's something that I've always been very proactive about and trying to understand more. I mean, I have struggled with some mental health issues in the past, and I always think it's an ongoing thing. But when someone is severely depressed, it can be very hard for myself to understand my friend's mindset and I guess logical thinking and things like that. So I tend to, it gets harder and harder for me to understand what they're going through. And I think, again, like you said, it's also important to protect yourself in the situations like that, because there are times when you need to I wouldn't say distance yourself, but just to have boundaries in place so that you can also just process your own thoughts, because you might be going through something in your personal life which your friend might not be aware of, or things like that. And I think having a safe space where we spoke with you, Karine, definitely helped my friend understand that it's not me neglecting her or me never being able to talk to. I just need some boundaries in place so that it's easier to manage and maintain, because you don't want to end up getting to a point where you can't do it anymore, and then your friend loses their support network. So I just think having that space where we could talk and have a safe and a mediator to express and ask the right questions, like yourself, it helped save, I guess, that friendship where sometimes it can feel a bit too much and you need some time and space apart.
What I also loved from that session is not only was it a space for you to both communicate your needs and to listen to one another, but what we found was, I can't remember if it was a few weeks later or a month or two later, you were her number one support person. And that was a shift. Not only that, but you were able to use a tool that we spoke about in the session. And you said that you found it helpful. So that we used the scale with regards to how she was feeling. And that scale was determined by her. So yeah, I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah, I think it's just very informative when you are told about the different toolkits that you offer your clients and things like that who need it. And obviously we would discuss her sessions with you, but it wasn't ever in detail to the point that I would learn about the different toolkits or anything like that. Whereas when we did the session together, that came up. And then when she needed me, I could use it. And again, it just helps me have that like foundation to support my friend when they best need it.
Beautiful. I think that's a lovely way to end off. Thank you so much, Sally, for your time and sharing your experience with us. As I said, it was the first for me as well. And I was actually shocked that in my years of education and psychology, that this was never discussed as an option. And just seeing you both work through it in the session just highlighted to me how important it is, and not to be afraid to, I mean, we do couples therapy. So I'm like, well, why can't there be friends therapy as well?
Yeah, I think that's it. So I think at the end of the day, it's realizing that a friendship is just equally as important as a relationship with any partner you have. And it definitely helped myself and my friend develop a stronger bond and just a better understanding of each other's needs, because I think sometimes it can be very, what's the word? It can get lost in translation. And sometimes you can end up hurting one another, insulting one another, but all it is actually trying to express your needs.
Thank you so much, Sally. Lovely to see you again.
You too. Thanks so much. Bye.